It's a rather surprising result. "21% of you think sweatshops are not bad, at least not bad. They're an okay idea. Couple issues with them. Back to, I don't know if y'all noticed them. It stopped with these for a while, but they're back. Well, apparently there's enough doubt on the subject for the esteemed podcaster Michaela Peterson to devote an hour to debating it. So, who am I to say? How the hell do I know? Here's my problem with things like, and I watched a little bit of this. I didn't watch much of it. I don't want to, I'm at the point now where I feel like I'm consuming too much Peterson family content. Regardless of why. I don't think it's like when they say that, people talk about responsible AI a lot. There's a lot of debate going on about what responsible AI is, and the game Soma explored this too. Well, I don't know. Soma didn't actually make this point, but I think one of the points that's often made, when talking about responsible AI, is when people think about, is this creation, is this neural network that can reasonably emulate a sentient being? But we know it's not a sentient being, at least at some point of simplicity, or at least we assume that it's not at some point of simplicity. And we can turn it off. And once it starts to get into an area where there's any sort of questioning on behalf of non-psychopaths, on behalf of regular people who have compunction and feel guilt and don't like to do things that are wrong or bad, once they start questioning that or start to feel bad about it, the real problem there that gets run into first is not if we're damaging an AI. The real problem is what it does to the person whose job it is, say, to shut off the AI. The sort of we call way too many things PTSD, but if you're going through any sort of dilemma in your head and you're running through these scenarios in your head and you're thinking, well, I know it's not sentient. I know I can just turn it off, but it doesn't feel right. It just, oh my God, it just asked me not to turn it off. The moment you start doing that and you still go through with the act of turning this AI off, the damage there is really the damage that was done to you, not the damage that was done to the AI. So I think what I'm trying to say, in a rather roundabout way, is it doesn't matter why I'm watching as much the Peterson family saga as I am. I should stop. But anyway, I watched enough of this. To kind of get an idea of what the different sides of the argument were. And also, Michaela Peterson is young and kind of thrust into the spotlight, and I don't feel like insulting her very much, but I don't think she's a very good. I don't think she's the right person to be doing what she's doing. Perhaps she will grow into that person or with more experience. And that maybe has nothing to do with age, it just has to do with the fact that she hasn't been doing this very long. But I don't think she really has. And to be fair, she posits this as like a virtue. Well, that's not true. She doesn't do that. So I'm not going to give her this break. But she kind of says like, well, she purposefully kind of goes into some of these things, not really knowing where she is, what side she's on. And she wants to speak to a couple of experts, as determined by the voice of the people who are the experts in this particular thing, and also who's popular at the moment, who's going to draw the clicks or who is controversial or whatever it is, to help her kind of navigate these questions that she may have on the subjects that she may not be interested in. Generally, she just kind of toes the Conservative Party line. So, hey, hoo-ha. But so what got me about this was the basic argument was the same argument that you get when whether you're talking about like, and I guess this is all like kind of under you could extend the umbrella of what do sweatshops mean. They don't have to literally mean like a place that people go, low-wage workers, very low-wage workers go, where there's no such thing, like a whiff of unionization. It doesn't even exist. Like they don't even realize that they have the ability to even think about such power. They're just grateful that they're getting enough money that they can maybe purchase something, to eat for them and their family on the way home. If they're incredibly lucky, maybe they have a little bit of something left over, but usually it's not going to be the case. But sweatshops could be used like in a more metaphorical way to just kind of cover any sort of working situation where, especially when it's handled by, say, like an international corporation, who all they have to lose if shit goes up is they find another country, right, with or another place in that same country with more relaxed rules for what they can and can't do, and maybe, who knows? What's always good is a lower mandatory age for working, because, man, 13-year-olds have so much energy. They almost never get tired. Seems like such a waste for them not to be weaving baskets with that energy, or making earrings that appear on Etsy, or whatever it is. But my point being, sweatshops don't, you can kind of expand the idea of what a sweatshop is to cover a lot of different scenarios. And it always seems like the argument is, well, better that they have a low-wage job than no job at all. If we weren't here, these people would be starving and or dying. And the same argument is always made for sweatshops and for mining, for coal mining and fossil fuels and all these things where it's easy to get like really low-wage personnel, not really worry about their safety or security. Certainly, you're not like giving a thought to happiness, and then say, well, it's better than nothing. But it's not better than nothing, because what's always missing, like that plan always stops many steps too soon. There's no road when these things are being done. It's not like, well, we're going to start with the sweatshops, and then we're going to bring in a bunch of retail outlets, and then everyone will be working retail. They'll make a little more money and be a little more comfortable. And then we're going to bring in the high-end engineering jobs, right? Or the mid-tier engineering jobs, or maybe QA is in there somewhere, or maybe, call centers are in there somewhere. But it's not like there's an evolution going on there. It's not a stepping stone to something better. There is a void, there's a vacuum that exists, and it's filling the vacuum with the least possible amount of matter, and this is the thinnest soup you can imagine, right? And saying, hey, super thin soup that's 90, it's basically homeopathic soup. It's a gallon of water with a drop of chicken broth in there, and they're calling it sustenance. Although even water, that's too kind. Water at least has value. It's one of the main ingredients of the beverage I'm drinking right now. The first ingredient. Don't let people tell you if you drink soda, you're going to get dehydrated. It's not possible. Water's the first ingredient. I hope you all realize I know I'm wrong there. Did anybody notice anything different about my camera tonight? Let's see. Actually, if you want to argue, I'd be happy if you want to argue for the existence of extremely low, well, let's just say sweatshops. If you want to argue that, you want to call in, that is where you do that thing. That is where you call in. When you send an email there, and then I will respond to that email. The carbonated water is doing weird stuff. Oh God, get this off of here. This is driving me nuts. Nobody's noticed anything different? No? Nothing? Well, Pivy, I will take this as a compliment. You got it. That's one thing. That is one thing. Yes. I'm actually not using the Blackmagic camera right now as this camera that I'm looking into right now. And because it's not the Blackmagic camera, it means I can do stuff like this. Hello. Dude, you're making me look bad. Camera. There. Stuff like that. Don't embarrass me like that in public. Yes, autofocus. Do I really care about autofocus? I don't really care about autofocus. I was just curious. I wanted to bring the Canon up here and see what kind of results I can get. I don't love what it does to my skin, and the Blackmagic is still there. Hi, Blackmagic. How you doing? I had to move you away. Put another Blackmagic over here with a macro lens on it. Probably can't even. So we can get that. And this is a good one when I have stuff like, I'd kind of given, I was just like, screw all the cameras. Just going to have one camera. It makes things a lot easier, and it does. But how can I have something like this up? You have to be able to see my face all the time. And how can I have something like this up if I don't have a second camera? This is not an Onion article. I like how the subject matter on you see it in the top in red. Friendship. So where does this go? It goes in the friendship column, page, section. Lindsey Graham spent 6 years with his head up Trump's ass for nothing. Oh, you could probably hear I have heard more choppers tonight before starting than I've heard in a really long time. Something's going on. Something is going on. I don't know what. Perhaps there was a medical emergency and Biden is no longer currently acting president. But given that there was just an announcement like an hour ago that we were going to send 3,000 troops to the Ukraine, which I'm going to get into that too. Who knows? Like, is this troop maneuvering or is this, I don't know what it is, but a very unusual amount of activity. So you'll probably hear a lot of that stuff going on tonight. And for those of you who don't know, I live across the Potomac from DC, but basically like I'm between DC and the CIA. The CIA to one side of me, and then like the Pentagon and the DoD to the other side. And Dulles Airport is a little ways out west of where I am. So a lot of activity whenever there's any sort of military maneuvers going on, which can be fun to watch. But I want to get into that too, particularly the troop thing, because it's been seized on by a lot of people as a. I realize I've left this picture of a rather despondent. He looked so sad there. He thought Trump was his buddy. Trump will fucking sell you. Trump has no loyalty to anybody, no matter what. Like you can do his bidding for 30 years, and the moment, and part of this is I know. I mean, I'm guessing, but I'm guessing. It's show, right? It's all just show. I mean, but the question is, was the friendship show, or is the break from the friendship the show, or is it a little bit of both? It's probably a little bit of both. Look, Lindsey Graham can be nice to Trump. I mean, there's no fence that can't be mended via a little bit of legislative support or, say, PAC support. It's okay, Lindsey. You can reconcile that relationship with Trump. I'm sure you can. It's not going to be hard. It'll be easy for you. You know what Trump wants. You got it. Well, yeah, he wants your head up his ass. Problem is you poked it out for a minute there. Don't be doing that, Lindsey. That's not right. All right. Let's go back to tonight's camera A, which is you, which has less dynamic range than the Blackmagic's, but it lets me do this. God damn it. Yeah. So I was about to get really mad at the Canon. This is my Akira NFT. You can't have it unless you hack my wallet. It's interesting how the NFT slogan is very similar to like the Proud Boys slogan, where one goes, all go, or whatever the hell it is. I don't even really pay attention to it. Here, there's another one. Anyway, I'll stop calling them out, but you'll hear them. I do love, I love pixel art, right? So this is particularly appealing to me. It's a little bit phallic, like ignore the blue part. I'll forget it. Yeah, and that's like 8 frames, 32 by 32. The other reason that this stuff attracts me is this is the kind of, when I was coming up, when I was a boy doing game development and we were doing pixel art, this is the kind of shit that we did. By the way, somebody from Retro Gamer magazine has been really kind of harping on me for some questions on what it was like working at the place I worked, the first game development job that I had. The very first game development job that I had, I'm sure I told this story already, and I'm sorry. Shit. Leah, I don't accept dollars. What kind of currency is dollars? What is that? Actually, I think I read a book about dollars. But no, don't accept dollars. Only Ethereum. That's it. I don't even accept Bitcoin. I sure as fuck don't accept Bitcoin Cash. So throw the Ethereum this way and you'll be good. Isn't it? It's so simple and like ridiculous. And like it just comes with a little stick that you can pop in there. And then you can, well, you're not gonna be able to see it, but you can rest it anywhere. Has a hole in the back. So I don't want to leave it here because it's gonna be a little too distracting, I think. But you can hang it on anything. Actually, it almost looks like it's part of the logo there. Maybe I will leave it there for a bit. But because I'm now using a camera with a larger sensor in for those of you who are interested right now, my lens being used is a 50 millimeter 1.2. And it's currently at 1.8, f1.8. ISO is set at 400. Shutter speed, 1/50th of a second, which is following the 180 rule because I'm broadcasting at 24 frames a second. Here on the 59th episode of Beyond the Double Red Doors. Yes, the answer is yes, Leah. I will, absolutely. Oh yeah, well that was Square Enix. Yeah, those are JRPGs. It's an insult and a compliment. Don't make me show that Amanda, I forget her name, Amanda something, very funny explanation. I think an extremely funny crypto explanation. I did recently watch, forget the name of the channel, but it's just a video on NFTs and why they're so horrible and why they don't actually represent any sort of step forward for artists. It's called The Line Goes Up. It's like 2 hours long. I think it does a pretty good job. I think I probably got to watch it again. Because while I have, Folding Ideas, Q, that's the one. I have a decent idea of how the blockchain works. And certainly like the culture around NFTs is just so horribly toxic. And a lot of it, so I feel a little bit responsible for this. A lot of it mirrors the sort of microtransaction model and the gacha components of cell phone games and MMOs, both of which I've worked on. I was working on the economy for a large MMO back in like 2011. And you want to talk about, how different is this? I mean, you have proof of work and you have, your unique secured location on the blockchain for this thing that is not actually a thing, except insofar as everybody mutually accepts it's a thing. NFTs are an argument for Joe Rogan's or Robert Malone's mass formation psychosis, depending on how you want to look at it. But it's interesting. Like Bethesda, some people might remember, shortly after Skyrim came out, they offered horse armor. Did nothing. So in the game development community, all those things were called hats, right? So even if it wasn't actually a hat, but it was any item you could buy, pay in-game currency, but generally hard currency, real currency for, that had nothing but a cosmetic effect, had absolutely no, so couldn't be accused of pay to win or anything like that. You were strictly choosing to do this because you wanted to see your in-game avatar have a hat or horse armor or have a home or decorate that home or whatever it was. And then with cell phone games, like one of the philosophies that kept being pushed, and this was not pre-Bitcoin, but it was before Bitcoin took off. So Bitcoin was like 2013, I think. I don't remember. But one of the things that they would push all the time, and this is just like 101, if you're doing microtransaction-based cell phone game development, you gotta if you're going to do microtransaction-based game development, you have to, like, one of the first things you do is provide alternate currencies, like usually 3 or 4 of them, and then hard currency. And there are things you can't buy, like there are varying paths to get the things that you might want to get in a given game. And certain currencies will allow you to get there, and certain ones won't. Like if you want, there are some things that like only money will buy. And there's some things that money can't buy, and that sometimes that's actually more valuable. If you want to get your monthly active users up. Hard currency is a bad way to do that. You just want people to log in every day, right? So that's why in MMOs, right, like daily quests were created and all these kinds of things. And in almost every cell phone game now, I don't know why I'm saying cell phone game, mobile game. You get a little something just for logging in, because it makes their numbers look good. But anyway, yeah. So the reason for creating all those different kinds of currency is, at least in part, to kind of divest you from the idea that it's real money, and then divest you from your vest. Wait. You've asked 4 times. When the battery dies in the NFT, does it... Well, first of all, it's nuclear powered. It's being powered by some decaying plutonium. So there's no battery. The battery's not going to run out in our lifetimes, or our children's lifetimes. I am experiencing like a light headache whenever I spend too much time near it. But to me, that just adds to like the kind of the gravitas of being in the presence of an object of power. I feel like I'm in control in the game. Control. I don't rarely read the chat. That's not true. Haven't you looked at the description of this podcast? I think it says focus on viewer engagement. You are the viewers. I'm trying to engage you. Here, let me look up. I feel like there's a thread I left untied. I feel like there's a thread I missed, that I was going down one of these tangents, and I feel like there's one of them I didn't cinch off. But let me go. I'm going to look at the chat. Yes, I am. Trying to, anyway. I gained about 8 pounds over the last 6 months. So over the past month, I've been trying to lose that weight, which I am doing by drinking a lot of Coke, spending a lot of time in close proximity to and the decaying plutonium behind me. And also I have a rice cooker that I put broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots in every day. I make myself eat it. And it has a net negative effect on, like, well, one, it makes me lose my appetite. I guess it's providing vitamins, some healthy stuff, but it makes me lose my appetite and then, fills me up. It's also quite bloating, shall we say. Anyway, I do like if I could have it my way, I want like my cheeks to be really indented. I really want to go gaunt as I age some more. When I look at pictures of myself, back when I was young, like 43, to me, my face looks inflated. I don't know, like it's very, it still is like, my face is a weird shape that I don't love. Look, it's something that I can try and play with and then get bored with and then be like, well, I actually prefer being able to, because what I can't do with this camera now is I can't change all of the settings via a virtual dashboard on my desktop. If I want to change the aperture, I have to go over to it and change the aperture. Okay, let's move on a little bit. Oh, I also cut my hair myself. Did it myself, believe it or not, with a pair of clippers. Yeah, let's get into this a little bit, but let me first go through the whole. Yeah, this occurred to me as well. Although I don't think she's not in the eastern part, right? She's not in the part that's currently under possible annexation or whatever it is that might happen. Oh, Isra, I've not seen you in a while. Thank you for coming by. It's good to see you. What? Oh, everybody knows. I don't care. And of course, hi to Nicholas. Hey, Grace, how are you doing? Grace, going to be announcing another writing thing, right? You might be interested in. When you say we, do you mean me? Do my sclera look unhealthy? It's possible. Let me keep going. Well, some people like it. Don't you see? This is another reason it's good to have the thin depth of field. Although I did put it right up in the camera before, didn't I? Oh, people asking about it. So it's a divoom, DIVOOM. You can look it up. It's like $100. Yes, I did. PMS pill. I don't. I got it on Amazon. Don't accept dollars. I might accept cents. That sounds like a new kind of currency that I'm interested in. And I'm more interested in the community than the actual currency itself. Oh, cool, Grace. Thank you. No. No, I don't. I don't think that that's somewhere that they're going to go. MMO, 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 MMO. I got today's Wordle in 3 guesses. I saw some other people here got it too in 3 guesses, which is it was one of my least favorite words. Yeah, I don't know where that like the hat designation came from somewhere, and it just spread through the game dev community, just like ducks. Putting a duck in, which I know I've talked about before, is if you are working with a producer and you know they're going to want to exert their control, especially if they're a new producer or a producer working for an external publisher who's going to view your stuff or your development house's stuff, they can't come back and say it's great, don't change anything. They have to justify their own job by changing stuff. So sometimes game development houses will intentionally put things in that they know will get called out and they'll take out. And they're things that are very easy to put in and very easy to take out purposefully, because a lot of times producers will think they're asking for something that's low effort and it's extremely high effort, and vice versa. So that was another sort of game term that went through. Most of the dev houses I was at knew about the existence of ducks. You put a duck in. So I don't know what the first, it was probably actually a real duck. Like someone put a duck in the game and they knew that the producer was going to be like, there can't be ducks in this game. Take the ducks out. And then everyone referred to them as ducks. So yeah, I don't know who did the first hat, but it probably was an actual hat. But maybe not. I fucking am kidding, Amy. Yes. It's it's all done by Bluetooth. So that's just a dumb monitor. All right. I mean dumb in the technical sense. So it's mostly battery and then some low power LEDs, charges via USB-C. It does have a good long battery life, but it has a couple of things in some read-only memory. I expect some ROM chips, unless I'm totally out of the loop when it comes to hardware, which I very well might be. But then you just load up the app and you send whatever image you want. You draw your own, etc. It's pretty neat. I don't know what like. I don't know what would be a good way to do that. I do check the chat. It's just not, if I'm in a flow state, I want to keep that up. No. Not true. Well, look, here's another, it's another perfect example. Like, we don't know what the fate is. What is the fate of crypto and NFTs? We don't know. I mean, it is possible that in a couple of decades, right, that is as commonly accepted as any other currency. And that intergenerational wealth, like, who is going to have that? Who is vying for NFTs? It's middle class, generally like somewhat technically savvy people, and they're generally, from a percentage perspective, mostly male. What was Kazialot 2012? What was the story with the journalist? don't know what you're talking about. Yes, Lexi, there is some of that. You seem quite slim, Nick. And you have a kind of you have high cheekbones, lanky. Miz does live near the Russia part. I thought that he was. I thought that he was further west. Sorry about that. And I'm sorry. Damn it. I apologize for that. Well, I hope that. I mean, so here's the thing. Like, well, let me get through the chat, then we'll go onto that, because I'm going to prove you all wrong. Reading every chat. This is not a good way to do it, though. Okay. Oh, yes. So yeah, asking about capstone days. Capstone was renowned in its time for shovelware, just buying up IPs for existing licenses: Terminator, Home Alone, Zorro, Tech War, Trump Castle. Yes, I worked on a Trump branded game. There were many others. I mean, it was, it was basically like putting a new skin based on the IP, The Dark Half. We did a game based on the movie The Dark Half. I have zero pride in any of those games. I didn't take pride in my work at that time. I didn't see it as like anything I'd be doing for any particular length of time. And I was like 18 or 19, and I didn't care. Like, I was willing to put in, like, I probably had a healthier attitude towards work-life balance than I do now, or than, maybe not than I do now, but than I developed later. Once you care about something, it's hard to just be like, well, I got to keep my work-life balance. I got to keep that in check. So I'm going to not do this as well as I would like to. If you care about it, that's a hard thing to do. Yeah. I worked on a Trump Castle game. I don't think he had any involvement at all. It wasn't like with Tech War, William Shatner came to the studio. He was like, let's play this thing. Let's giving a lot of feedback. Apparently more feedback than he gave on the book or the books, which were, surprise, surprise, ghostwritten. Oh my God. So I think that was the kind of joke going around at the time. And his ghostwriter was there too, because he couldn't really answer that many questions about his own books. Had to have the ghostwriter there. But man, we blew a couple things. Like, we did the cheesiest interpretation of The Matrix, and I should have known better. I mean, when I say The Matrix, I mean cyberspace. This is before the movie The Matrix. The concept of The Matrix existed before the movie The Matrix. So yeah, a real cheesy representation of that. That's not a great game. None of those were good games. I mean, this is true for everybody but me. Unless you want to call in, which I've had this up now for a bit. So, okay. Hit autocorrected fracking to fucking. That's not right. Is fucking a viable solution? That's not good. Gonna make a writing competition announcement here in a bit. But if you want to hear it, you're gonna have to stick around a little bit. Check this out. I thought this was funny. In a sad way.
So you can, I mean, this book is actually incredible. These are pictures. You handpicked these pictures. You wrote the captions. Tell us just a little bit about it.
So he handpicked the pictures and he wrote the captions. So spoiler, he didn't write the captions. And most likely he was shown pictures and was maybe like 1, 2, or 3. Oh, 2. Yeah.
Things are going so badly for our country that people were calling, can we have pictures? Can we have anything? Because, you know, while...
That's so nuts. Like, what a nuts thing to say. Things are going so bad for our country that people want pictures.
It was nasty with all the hoaxes and all the scams and everything else that these people created. Adam Shifty Schiff, all these crazy people,
Jessica.
Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. While it was, you know, a very rough thing, people romanticize about our country because we were doing so well.
So, that guy has some good hair game going on. So, things got so bad in the year since Trump, from his perspective, things got so bad in the year since he left office that people really wanted like a picture book so they could reminisce about the good old days of Trump and his hair and Melania standing, you know, very tactically a couple of feet away from him.
And they said, could we do pictures? And basically it's a very beautiful, big picture book.
Beautiful big picture book. You know, that like, you know, that's the kind of stuff, he's a visual learner. It's the kind of stuff that holds his interest. Don't put lots of words there.
And we've done 250,000 copies, immediately sold out. Now we just ordered another 400,000 or 500,000. And guess what? It takes a while because you can't get the paper, you can't get the ink, you can't get the glue,
You can't get anything.
you can't get the leather. And the printer who...
Paper, ink, and glue. I know, you know, the glue probably a particular interest.
Great. He's supposedly the second largest printer in the country. He said to me, I've never had problems getting paper before. Now they can't get paper. Think of it. Glue, ink, they can't get anything. But we're pressing very hard to get more copies because we have...
We experienced a global pandemic and it resulted in serious supply chain issues. The pandemic, you know, began under your watch, sir. Right? But I don't think anybody holds you accountable. And, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it too when you're talking about Operation Warp Speed, bragging about the vaccine, and at the same time, like, ignoring the fact that the president doesn't have a whole lot of power when it comes to things like global supply chain issues resulting from millions of people dying.
The book has been a tremendous success. And usually a book like that is not, because it's bigger and it's a little more expensive than, you know, a regular book, which you can buy for $10 or something. But
I mean, at least he kind of knows what the price of a book is, you know?
this book is a big, very successful thing. It was selling on the internet for $3,000 because people can't get it. So we're doing everything we can to get it. and we're trying to help him get paper. Can you believe this? This is a big printer. He said, 42 years, sir, I've never had a trouble getting paper or...
All right, that's pretty much that. Newsmax, where you can go to get like really, really high quality news. They did a bit, and this was random. Like I was just kind of like looking, and again, maybe this is like self-flagellation that I shouldn't be doing, but just kind of watching here and there, seeing what they're coming up with. Check this out.
Your organization, Parents Rising, and I'm hoping that the organization is rising as well because we need more parents speaking up. But on this vaccine mandate.
First of all, I just got to say, like, people call me out if I ever dye my hair. This guy, he's got a Giuliani going on. Like if water falls on his head, there will be drips of ink coming down his sideburns. I mean, his scalp looks like it's been dyed.
Mandates, kids in masks all day long. What's the main thing you're hearing from
Oh,
parents?
kids in masks all day
Parents
long.
are sick of the mandates, they are sick of the masks, and they are sick of remote learning. We want our children in school, learning, getting an education, being able to write a resume so that they can eventually get a job.
Lou, you fought here in New York City against remote learning. You got kids back in the classroom on hybrid. What is going on with all this mask mandate? Check.
What kind of question was that? Like, what sort of interviewer skill was that there?
Remote learning. You got kids back in the classroom on hybrid.
What is going on?
What is going on with all this mask mandate?
Jacqueline, you make a great point. We, as Americans, we knew this bull crap was going on in colleges for years. We knew this for the past decade. We didn't know that it was going on in our grammar schools.
So this guy is purporting to say, he's trying to say that it took critical race theory for us to actually have any idea of what was going on in grammar schools. Look, we knew that colleges were crazy. We knew that like professors and universities were just presenting all these just nutso ideas, etc. But we had no idea what was going on in grammar school. That sounds like total bullshit to me. And if it's true, fucking shame on you. Do you not even talk to your kids? Like, how could you not know what's being taught in your child's homework is still a thing. It took remote learning for you to learn this. Maybe you should be happy that remote learning is happening, because otherwise it would all be nice and hidden away within the classrooms, and you'd have no way of finding out what your kids were being taught.
We had no idea until COVID hit, and we started watching
Thank God for COVID. Thank God.
what the heck was going on in our grammar schools. We, as Americans, over the last 10
Grammar
years,
school is like elementary
allowed
school
our grammar schools
in America
to become indoctrination plants for communism, socialism, woke attitude.
Whoa, there it is. Communism, socialism, and woke attitudes. I mean, I don't know. Is this even worth?
Racism.
Racism, CTR.
Yeah, racism, CRT, not CTR. Yeah, lots of race. So this was last week we were talking about critical race theory and how the right will paint it as being racist to acknowledge it, which is preposterous.
I can't believe we let it get this far. I don't believe that it's going to be easy to take it back, but I'm glad you're...
Dude looks green screened. Something's going on with like the contrast around his hair and his head. It's just like a block of like grayish. There's no contrast going on there. But then there is contrast in his face. I'm not sure. I mean, I think they're on location in an Italian
Trying, I'm glad
looking
you're starting.
restaurant.
We need parents to jump in on this and stop it right now, because this will be the beginning of the end of our country.
And there you go, right? So it goes. This goes on for a while. There's no point in watching the rest of it. But this is like just what's being. It's the same thing over and over again. It starts with teaching kids about racism, and it ends with teaching kids about Marxism and communism, and indoctrinating them to become people who want to redistribute wealth, who don't believe in capitalism, possibly don't believe in nationalism, possibly think like maybe the United States of America is not the greatest country in the world. Maybe we do some shitty fucking crap. But I don't know who gave, like, if this is what is being proposed, what's being touted as the other side of fake news. This is the real news. I don't know. OANN and Newsmax. Kind of terrible. Terrible. This is very much the vibe I'm getting, right? I don't know. I mean, maybe. The rest of them look pretty well in their element, in the actual location. And I guess I feel like maybe they wouldn't be very good at tricking you. But I could be wrong. Could be wrong. So that's funny, I think. Maybe it's not. What else do I got before we move on? Oh, right. Okay, so the Ukraine, right? I'm not a Biden fan. I voted for Biden. I am one of the people who has the very unpopular opinion that the withdrawal from Afghanistan was arguably the most courageous thing that Biden did, and the most anti-government, or the most anti-political thing that he did, that I feel like he did for the right reason. There was no way that was going to go well. To be fair, it went really badly. Like, it went worse than I think anybody was thinking it was going to go, worse than I thought it was going to go, surely. But I mean, it had to be done. We were there for 20 years. We should not be colonial occupiers. And honestly, like, if we couldn't do it in 20 years, we weren't going to be able to do it in 40 years. So that was like a political, something that he knew was going to hurt him. Although I don't know that he was aware of how much it was going to hurt him, or how badly it was going to go. But he knew it was going to hurt him, and I feel like it was the right choice in the long run, and that he did it in spite of the fact that it was going to hurt him. So good to him. Good for him. Yeah, I mean, why are people complaining about this? Well, this is what I think, like, obviously this is what the people of, like, Virginia wanted. That's what they were expecting and hoping, and were, surprised when critical race theory came up. So it is bizarre to me that, like, such a small thing, like such a small, I don't mean that critical race theory is a small thing, but so much of the indoctrination that goes on in schools is very much like let's teach you all the things that we need to teach you so that you listen to authority. You have the reasoning skills that you need to have in order to be a productive worker under capitalism. Although maybe that's, yeah, I mean, skills are skills to some extent, right? I feel like a lot of some of the skills that are taught like only work under capitalism, but there are still like skills that are taught that you could probably, I mean, they're useful anywhere under any system of government. But I don't understand why people are so in the Italian restaurant diners were so up in arms about this, because it is still very much in line with if you want, you know what? I don't have the insight into this to be going into it. I have my personal information. I have anecdotal information. I have information from my kids. Sample size too small, but the sample size that I do have, although it's small, points towards schools are doing what they're supposed to do. They're making good little productive members of society and churning them out apace. And no child left behind. It's more important that they graduate than they learn. It's becoming less important by the year. Becoming less and less important by the year to have a college degree. And certainly to take on that kind of debt. But who are we're talking about? Okay, we're talking about a cat now. All right, we have stuff going on that's in parallel. That's fine. That's fine. I don't mind. I don't mind that because it's
more than what we think we deserve.
All right, what's next? Covered Trump's picture book, Newsmax footage. How about Elon Musk's jet? I love this Twitter account, Elon Musk's jet. Next time you are on Twitter, just search Elon Musk's jet. It tracks using publicly accessible database information for flight paths, flight times, etc., where Elon Musk's jet is taking off from and landing 24/7. Elon Musk is not necessarily on said jet, at least not all the time, right? But this is public knowledge that he has scripted it so that it just automatically spits out this information. So if you want to see Elon Musk go from Brownsville to Austin to Brownsville to Austin to Brownsville to Austin to Hawaii to various islands in Hawaii, back to Austin, and I forget what city in California he goes to a lot, but it's where SpaceX is and where Tesla is, etc. Yes, I'm talking about the young, I don't know, 15 years old, something like that. Elon Musk offered him $5,000 to take the account down, which seems really, really low, although maybe he didn't want to set a precedent for people doing that kind of thing. I don't know if he's been harassed, people waiting at like the airport. I mean, it's not like he goes to a public terminal. It's a private jet. There's no information about where in the airport he is. Like, airports are generally big places. I mean, really, if you want, all you have to do if like you're an avowed Elon Musk-ite and you want to possibly run into him, you just hang out in Austin Airport. He's going there all the time and he's flying every day. But it doesn't matter. Like, whatever he offers, that information is public. If that particular Twitter bot goes down, then another one will just pop up. I just found it interesting, and I honestly I'd like to see it. I'd like to see that data in an easily accessible place Because it's already public, right? I don't need to see everywhere he drives his Tesla. But airspace is different. Maybe thank the Patriot Act, Elon. He loves government interference when he's on the rise. But once he makes it, he wants people to keep out of his stuff. There are different types of people in the world, and there are people who will completely ignore anything that's being said about them in public. And I'm talking about like public figures who will just purposefully cut themselves off from what's being said about them in public. There are people who will obsess about what's being said about them in public. And I don't think either of those things are good, right? There's got to be like a healthy middle road to take there. Because if you obsess about what people say about you and you're constantly trying to appease the masses, that's not going to work. You're going to drive yourself crazy and get incredibly stressed out and burn out and start to resent the very people who, any press is good press, really. Yeah, that's not true either. Most press is good press. Even negative press, as long as it's not negative in particular ways, is good press. But you can't completely ignore it either, because then you're in an echo chamber and you're not being introspective, or you're choosing not to learn anything about yourself, where you think that you know better than the rest of the world. And you might, but at least make that assessment by coming into contact with these other voices from time to time. If anything, to keep your head from inflating to be freaking gigantic. Oh no. I'm sorry. 17 years. That is a long time. That is a long time. I think the dog I got most attached to growing up, lived 12 years. I mean, I don't remember a time in my youth where this dog didn't exist, although I think we did not get the dog until I was like 3 or something. And it died after my dad died, maybe a year and a half after. And it was pretty, it wasn't pretty, it was extremely heartbreaking. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So I feel bad for you, and please accept my condolences. Anyway, as Václav would say, I'm saying anyway a lot as I try to navigate through it. Maybe it's some asymptomatic COVID brain fog. More planes. Helicopters. They're coming. They're coming. I sometimes think there's a really, really big park near where I live. It's the kind of place where I would think, like, if a plane were in trouble, they might aim for something like that park. And with, the recent news story about the F-35, that went down, that we're trying to avoid China getting their hands on. I think about all of the military exercises being done around here, and if a plane went down in that park, what would I do? What would I do? I know what I would do. I would get that telephoto lens that I have and hide in a tree 50 yards away, try to get pictures. And then I would probably have some men in black show up at my front door asking to speak to me by name, possibly some IRS auditors. Hey, Selkie, how are you doing? It's been a while. I hope that you're doing well. So what's the next thing I wanted to bring up? Okay, fine. Let's get to it. I really enjoyed the process of the writing extravaganza that we had last year. I was blown away, honestly, by the quality of the stories. And I enjoyed all of them. Like there literally was not a bad egg in the bunch. So I was thinking, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's talk about what we want to do differently. I'm more than happy. I'd love to talk through this, right? I have some initial ideas. Oh, Selkie, what is your PhD program in? I can imagine that would be because I just am. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's part of it, right? Like we'll take these things take time, right? So this one probably won't be up and running for a bit, and we'll give it some time. But I wanted it to be more. And I was thinking, like, what are ways that we could make it go bigger and be more appealing? I was really thinking about this, for some time. And it occurred to me, the answer seems a little bit obvious in retrospect, but it occurred to me that the answer was throw more money at it. So here's the initial pitch. 2022's writing extravaganza. $1,000 in cash. A single $500 first prize. A $200 second prize. 3 $100 third prizes. As before, winners gotta have a PayPal account, or someone else can accept it in their name if you both agree, but I can't deal with that. But check this out. The selected entrants will have a printed book version of all the stories set to them. If you're international, I need you to pay the shipping if you want the book. So, and maybe it depends on costs, right? Like, so I'm not going to be able, like, if 100 people, which I don't imagine there would be 100 people, but, it depends on how many pages this thing's end up being, how much it will end up costing. Well, when I say cash, I mean cash as in, me PayPaling you the money. Yeah, it's just going to keep going there. Breaking news. Let's move this down. So what were the problems that we ran into last time that we can remedy? We did have like a slight problem when it came to accepting the prizes, right? And I just think that, like, you have to have a way for me to digitally send you the money. And I'm not getting involved in like fringe ways of doing that. Maybe Cash App, right? PayPal for sure. Cash App might be the only other one. And like I said, like if somebody else can accept the money for you and get it to you, That's fine. What are the other problems that we had? The genre was limited, as I think I saw someone call out. The genre was limited to the uncanny and or horror. Let's talk about that. I don't want to do erotica at all. Like I just don't. Like not something I'm interested in pursuing or having written. So, but aside from that, and it's just like last time, it was like no like straight up erotica, but like if you write something and there's a love scene in it, and that's just part of the story, that's just part of the story, whatever. So what about genres? Check this out. Okay. Let me do a quick poll. What genres should, and I'm doing this poll, and I do want this to be like a collective effort, but if I'm putting up the money, I got the final say. So what genres should be allowed or focused on? Let's just go through. I see people saying poetry, and I'm reluctant to say poetry because the purpose of this is like and I'm not saying that poetry doesn't require effort, and a lot of poems do require a lot of effort. But if someone's writing a 3,000 word narrative that they have spent, a long time on, and somebody else writes a haiku, I'm sorry, I can't equate those two things in my head. I feel like there needs to be like, maybe it's a bar of length, right? Like maybe if you're writing in iambic pentameter or something, right? And it can be, if it's between 2,000 and 4,000 words or something like that. Let's see. Nonfiction, I see someone saying. Okay. What else do we got? What other genres are there besides horror, mystery, thrillers, woman in the window type stuff? I don't really want to put romance there. That's kind of slippery slope, I feel like. Maybe genres shouldn't be what we're focused on. Maybe its form is what we should be focused on. Well, let's try this one and then see what we got. What else is up? Somebody, oh yeah, comedy. A sweet ass limerick. See but that's what I'm worried about, right? I can only 2, 3, 4. Why is it only letting me add? Fantasy. As long as like we're not using fantasy as a euphemism for furry on furry action. I mean, a story in poetry form, I think, is fine. You understand? I think what I want to avoid, right? It's like I just don't want somebody to. There once was a girl from Nantucket, and then they're in the bucket there because the choice would still be random. They're in the bucket with someone who spent a long time crafting a narrative. So let's see. I think mystery, thriller, and horror are all one. Like fantasy, alternate reality, nonfiction. I think nonfiction is good. Comedy is good. Let's see. All right. So there's an initial poll. What was Grace's? How about nonfiction excluding erotica and a certain length? That's simple, and we don't have to get in the weeds about the genre. Well, are you saying nonfiction? Yeah, as an option, right? I've no problem with that. I mean, that can be some of the most cathartic writing. Right? There's a bit of like, do we want history in there? You can't vote on the poll. Colorful Dreams. Well, it may be that like the poll is maybe moot. I really just want to get like what would be nonfiction, right? So in my mind, when I hear this, I'm thinking something autobiographical, something historical, the equivalent of like, video essays. I'm second guessing that now, because I would like these things to be evocative in some way. Creative nonfiction sounds good, Amy. I guess I'm just not quite sure what that means. Like, I think what I would like it to be is a story. And obviously you can have nonfiction stories, but I feel like I don't want like an account of the decline of the Roman Empire, right? And not that could be done in that length. Sure, as long as it's not erotica. Yes, I know. I'm thinking this through as we go here. Cut me some slack. Why do I not see that? I always have this problem with where's my poll? Poll is not showing up. Oh, here we go. Okay. 12 votes. 12 votes. We got to get more than 12 votes. Can nobody else vote? It's in chat right now. All right. Well, according to the poll, yeah, I guess I would like to kind of clarify a little bit what creative nonfiction means, and there'd have to be a length component, both on both sides, minimum and maximum, especially if they're going to be compiled into a book. I know, but I don't know what to do about that. I kind of feel like, I guess there's a part of me that is just like, I don't want like any genre, except for erotica, as long as it's told in narrative form, in some form of narrative form. It is not an account of events told in the style of the ethics of artificial intelligence, right? It is a story. and can be referred to and read as such. Probably going to have to think about that a little bit. No, I'm don't worry about this, Catarina. I'm using this time to kind of like throw some ideas out and get an idea of what people are thinking, and then I will draft something up, and then we can winnow it down from there. I'm particularly excited about the printing part of it, but that also brings in like some issues, right? There are well, they're mostly issues of length and number of entries. Right? Is there no like, yeah? I mean, and the usual sort of honor system kind of stuff where it's, something you're writing specifically new for this, not something that is sitting in a drawer that you are just waiting to submit something. Well, then maybe not. The thing is, I don't want to like if someone wants to write like a story of their life, right? Technically nonfiction, but could be fantastic and would accomplish the same goal. I guess I'm trying to accomplish the goal of encouraging narrative writing. So this is fine, Pivy. Yeah, if you have an idea sitting in your brain, if you haven't written it already, this is pretty good. Oops. What if we say, how about this? How about this? Fiction, not erotica. If you include true events in your fiction, oh well, right? It's sort of presented as fiction. It's presented as a narratively driven story. It can be the story of your life that is actually true, but it should follow the format of fiction. I just want to avoid dry historical essay type stuff, I guess. Yes, I assumed this, Grace. How do people feel about that? So let's say, 2,000 to 4,000 words. If you want to write it in poetry form, that's fine, but it would have to be 2,000 to 4,000 words. If you're, I would also like to read them on the channel, or I think that would probably be a stipulation there, is if you're okay with it being read on the channel. That feels a bit like, I don't know, I guess that feels a little bit weird to me, like I'm benefiting from that. I'm not really benefiting that much from that. I enjoy it and I want to like get it out. If one of those videos were to take off, or if one of those stories were to take off, I would not, well, I mean, this isn't obvious, but I wouldn't, like, I would take the video down and all rights would revert to the author. Like there's nothing in this that is saying that the story that is being written is somehow being turned over to me in some intellectual property way. I'm not. And here's the video proof saying anything written remains the property of the author. I'd like it if they let me put a video of somebody reading it up, kind of like we did with the last batch. Although I'd like to also kind of take that idea and make it a little more formalized this time around as well. Um, well, it could be a little bit of both. Where's my mouse cursor? Yeah, it could be a little bit of both. Hey, Cawthon, I didn't know you were here. Is video proof admissible in a court of law? I would guess it is. So yeah. Oh, let me stop this damn thing. Didn't realize it was still going. Where is it? Where did it go? So, one entry per person. Of course. Well, what do I not care about? Creative nonfiction. Okay, let's see what I'm not clear on what that is. All right, so creative nonfiction. That's not a good. So yeah, memoir is totally, I think, acceptable. Real life, reflection, research, reading, and writing. I guess what I want is an arc, you know. But this sounds right. Let me look into it a little more. I do care. So let me look into a little more. Maybe we can narrow it down some. But I think, unlike last time, regardless, we don't say anything about what the genre is, you know, within certain guidelines, and just put the limits on length and stuff. It'd be randomly chosen. The winners would be randomly chosen. Would not be like a judgment kind of thing. Oh, well, I'm sad about that, but also I appreciate the help. Probably need it. Ava, you have to be at work in 6 hours. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah. Was it Q? Was it you who wanted to do poetry? Can't have images. Can't have images and can't have like weird typesets or anything. Otherwise, you know, all that stuff is gonna make creating the book much more difficult. No idea, Catarina. No idea. Too early to say, but it'll be significant amount of time, and maybe some of that can be a little bit sort of crowdsourced too. I think that's a great idea. If we could do a workshop on the Discord server, I think that would be fantastic. Well, it might, maybe the number of entries won't be that high. But I think I have the feeling like once I post, I wanted to say this first here. I have the feeling once I post it and I'm like, oh, $500 first prize, probably be a fair number of entries. But before I do that, I want to be clear on like the what and the how. So, but that's the sort of big announcement on that, and we'll figure the rest are the details are not trivia. Let's see here. There's somebody who has wanted to call in a bit, and it's just like I haven't been talking to people or really doing the kind of interview stuff. But let's see. Yeah, no existing IP, please. I just don't want to wade into that. Yeah, I mean, fan fiction. Yeah, I don't want to wade into that. I do have a preference against it. I mean, I guess I just feel like the goal in my head is get people to create stuff ex nihilo that are works of, honestly, like narrative storytelling. Well, we're still figuring it out. Yeah, I have a feeling this will grow, Isra, over the next, like, let's say I put out some kind of announcement in a week, and then start getting a sense of what the interest is. But the thing is, like, people don't need to worry about, by the way, the person that emailed in, I responded with a link. You don't need to worry about how good you think you are at writing or whatever. There's no need to concern yourself with that. No need whatsoever. So we have a caller. Can the caller say something? Not sure if I'm getting audio, but it seems like I never really know if I'm getting audio. So let's try this and see if it shows up with audio. So greetings to Catarina. Hi.
Test.
How are you doing?
Test. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can hear you. You are live.
Sure? I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, yeah, we can hear you. Or at least I can hear you, and I think everybody can hear you.
Okay.
Is anybody out there? Can you hear Catarina? I think they can. How are you doing, Catarina?
I'm still breathing, thank you.
Still breathing. That's not a great endorsement of being alive, is it?
Yeah, it will.
Is something wrong? Have you been? Are you feeling okay?
We are running on, nobody wants to hear about that. We are running on minimal personnel at my childcare facility, and it is really, really stressful.
So you're a teacher. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm the assistant. I'm not the kindergarten teacher. I'm the assistant. That is bad enough as it is.
And by minimal personnel, like what does that look like? What does that mean?
Like we are, we have 3 groups, and normally we would be 6 adults, and now we are 3 groups and we are 2 adults. The others are in quarantine or have COVID.
Wait, what?
The others are in quarantine or they have COVID.
Okay, and how many kids are in a group?
15 to 20.
So you and a teacher are in charge of, did you say 3 groups? Did I?
Yes, but they are not all there, of course, because one group is still in quarantine and many kids are sick. But it is like a lot of work, like running the whole kindergarten on 2 people. It's a bit much, but it will. I hope it will be okay. I hope it will be okay. I'm sorry. I bring COVID up again every time.
This is the reality of the world that we're in today. Is there have you had COVID?
No, thank you. I'm vaccinated 3 times. It still passed by me, but my boss has had it. The other assistants and had it. Like they were in quarantine now for I think almost 3 weeks. Yeah.
So what is your opinion as somebody who's in the thick of it? Like, what do you think would be the optimal way to proceed? Like, it just all remote learning? I'm sorry, that's a leading question. What do you think would be the way that you would proceed?
We are here in Austria. We are still waiting for a law to pass that everyone who works with children has to be vaccinated to do their job, because that's important. Like we can't keep a system running if people are in quarantine all the time.
So that's the personnel problem, the limitation. It comes from teachers getting either being sick or exposed and having to be in quarantine.
Yes. It's really like my boss isn't vaccinated. She's not vaccinated.
Your boss is not vaccinated? Is your boss is the teacher, or is your boss like the...
Yes. She runs the kindergarten and she is a teacher in the mice group. And she's not vaccinated. And we are like dependent on this person. She runs the whole kindergarten and she's not vaccinated. And she is in quarantine all the time. And it sucks. And I'll stop with COVID now because this is getting ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I bring it up all the time.
But I am curious about this. What causes, like, what are the conditions under which you would have to go into quarantine? If you're teaching a group of kids and one of them is diagnosed with COVID, what? Sorry, go ahead.
If 2 kids are positive, the whole group is closed down.
And you are put in quarantine as well, or?
No, I'm not put in quarantine because I am vaccinated 3 times. When you are vaccinated 3 times, you are not categorized as a contact person, and you don't have to be in quarantine. That's good.
But there's no sort of mandate or anything like that when it comes to getting vaccinated or teachers being vaccinated. It's just
it's in the works. It's in the works. It's really it takes a long time for a law to pass here, and some of our parties are against it and go out on the street every day, and it's really a hassle at the moment. And I'm sorry, I'm talking about COVID again. It's
well.
there are more.
I mean, I guess I have a vested interest in this too, right? So I'm interested in it as well. But it seems really, one, it seems irresponsible to me that your boss is not vaccinated. But two, like even if these mandates get passed, it seems to me like if someone is at this point seeing what's going on, choosing not to be vaccinated, do you like if a vaccine mandate was passed? Do you think your boss would get vaccinated, or do you think she would quit, or he would quit?
She has had COVID the last 2 weeks, so she would be qualified as
natural antibodies.
Yes, she got healthy again. That's a status here, so you don't have to get vaccinated for 4 months, I think.
Gotcha.
If you had it, and that's like her reason to not get vaccinated in the next few months.
Well, the data on immunity conferred from having symptomatic COVID versus vaccines, they're pretty in line with each other. So I mean, my concern would more be like, well, what's she going to do in 4 months? She going to get COVID again, right? She's not going to get a vaccine unless like she's forced to do so somehow, right? So she will probably have some natural immunity for the next couple of months. Although how many months, and this is just, I don't know the real numbers of this, is just what I from what I hear, right? She will have a few months of natural immunity that would be equivalent to being vaccinated or close to equivalent to being vaccinated. But 4 months from now, she won't, right? And she won't get vaccinated. So she'll either get it again, or what, like could be an asymptomatic carrier or something. I don't know. I'm shocked that like I know things are horrible, but I'm actually kind of shocked that things are not worse, which I guess is just down to kids not being quite as susceptible as maybe people were afraid they would be. But that does mean like all the burden falls on the teachers.
And we have like our little ones can't get vaccinated. You can get vaccinated in Austria when you are at the age of 5.
Right.
And everyone below that is not going to get the vaccination. And it's just my point of view. I, as someone who cares for these kids, has the responsibility to keep them safe. It doesn't matter if I get it or if I want this damn vaccination or not. It's I don't want to get it and carry it on. It's like, that's ridiculous. It's just that's not the normal process of thinking. Like, I don't get vaccinated because I don't care. If you care for someone and you get paid to do so, you do what is the responsible thing to do. I'm sorry, I will stop with this. Nobody wants to hear it after 2 years.
Well, so apart from your boss, like, are most people vaccinated where you are? And there's a few holdouts, or it's kind of half and half, or
60%. We would need 80.
They would need 80 for what?
For herd immunity.
Well, So 80% is herd immunity, but that requires numbers, right? Like I don't know that herd immunity applies if you're talking about small groups. But I don't know. Maybe, I could be wrong about that. But so that's what their goal is 80%. Huh. Have you been a part of, I assume you've been a part of pods or groups that have had two kids test positive that have then had to close down? And was there ever because even if you've been vaccinated 3 times, you can still contract COVID. Is
We
that
wear masks all the time. We, in the beginning of the pandemic, we had this consensus that early years childcare, for the very little ones, that we don't have to wear masks because the children wouldn't learn the language. You have to see, you have to learn the language, the facial expressions. But now we are wearing masks more in my profession. So because we literally have these little kids who literally can't get vaccinated, even not with BioNTech Pfizer. And any port in a storm, right? I'm sorry, I'll stop with this. It's getting annoying after 2 years. I know, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh, I'm not annoyed by it. I want to say, I saw... Okay, so it's... Yeah, at least in the U.S., Pfizer could be available for kids under 5 by the end of the month. Now, the people who are even a little bit resistant to vaccination of themselves are probably not going to want to vaccinate kids under 5. I wish I had some words of consolation for you, except the work that you're doing is
it will be fine. I hope it will be fine. It's just we are so chronically understaffed. It's my boss said, I wish I could clone you. You have a twin sister, right? Is she free at the moment? No, she's
boy.
not. We would need you at the monastery. We would need you in the owl group. We would need you in the ladybugs group. Yeah, but my day only has 9.5 hours. My work day. It's
seems like a nightmare.
It is.
And the kids, especially the kids under 5, they can't really understand it, right? They're not really grokking it that much, and also they don't have the best hygiene, right? So.
We tend to wash our hands a lot. We have hand washing songs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We have so many kids who they have eczema on their hands because of
that's
overuse of this soap.
That's a giant problem though, for doctors and PAs and nurses over here too, is their hands are just cracking from how much they've been washing them.
It's we have so many kids with blood poisoning because they are bleeding and they are I'm sorry, I will stop with this. I am so sorry. I wanted to ask, I don't get this writing extravaganza. I have no idea what you want from me, and I'm so self-conscious because, as you know, my first language isn't English. I have no idea what I am doing. I don't know what I should write.
Oh, didn't you enter into the last one?
I did, and yes, I did, but that is, I have no idea what to do this time. I have no idea what it is you would like to read, because obviously mine was horrible last time, and it's.
Well, why do you say that? I don't recall that at all.
Yes, but I don't know what it is you want now. I'm sorry, I don't understand this. Maybe I can understand it when I see it written.
Yeah, I mean, I think that might help. I mean, I really like. I mean, it shouldn't be like a source of stress, right? It should be something that like is fun, right? And obviously there's no obligation. And if people aren't like enjoying it or want to do it, or there's not like a large amount of participation, then we can rethink like what it is that's causing people to stress out about it. I really like my concerns are like, I want it to be fair. So making it too broad where somebody's doing something that maybe isn't equivalent with what somebody else is doing, since it's not judged, since it's random, it might be in someone's best interest. And I'm not suggesting that anybody here would do that, but it might be in someone's best interest to just write, like if we were doing poetry, like a short poem, right? And they would have just as much of a chance of winning as someone who wrote 4,000 words and like spent weeks on it or whatever, right? So as far as like story, I don't know, like you're living a kind of dystopian nightmare in a way here that I would think might be fodder for like if you probably have worries about like what's the worst way this could play out, right? Or maybe what's the best way this could play out, or maybe what's the way this could play out that kind of gets worse and then gets better. Because write a story about your boss getting a vaccine.
I'm just laughing, so I'm not crying. I'm just laughing, so I'm not crying. No, it's yeah. Well, I get you.
Amy has a good point here. Let me bring it up. What is it that you like to write? Like what do you enjoy? I mean, do you write for enjoyment? And if you do,
I read for enjoyment. I think you know I read for enjoyment. You had to suffer through it. Like on several occasions.
Well, so but what would you want to write? Like if it was just like whatever you wanted to do, what would you do?
I would write a poem. I like stuff that rhymes, but it would be awful because it's in English, not in German.
Oh, wait 1 second. Let me just say, good night, Maddie, and good luck with the storm. I know that's hitting a lot of people. It's missing us, or it's missing Virginia. It's just going to be rain for us, but it's going to be pretty crappy for some people. So good luck with that. So you would want to write a poem. When you say a poem, do you mean like a Shakespearean kind of thing, or like what kind of poem are you talking about? Like, I mean, if it's The Wasteland, if it's T.S. Eliot, if it's long form, this is where like I have to kind of like think about it. Because if you're submitting something like, you know, The Hollow Man or The Wasteland or something like Eliot. Well, long form narrative poetry.
Would have to think about it. I mean, I could. It just wouldn't be a nice read. It just wouldn't be a nice read, because everything I write in English would sound so much more beautiful in German. Believe me, I know everybody thinks German is this disgusting language, but of course it is not my mother tongue. I don't really translate it. I try to write it originally in English. Barbie is so cute. Barbie is fun. Barbie can do that. That happens on a regular basis, actually. We do have Legos in kindergarten.
Oh, yeah. Are you walking around barefoot? Because that's one of those things I like. That really does hurt. Like that's happened to me so many times. My son is so into Legos.
But that's a good thing. It's creative. This is creative.
Yeah, he really enjoys it, and we definitely encourage it. But it's definitely a mess. And he goes by like he wants more pieces, as many pieces as he can get. So he'll look at like the box, and if it's like under 1,000 pieces, he's kind of like, not enough. And I want to be like, dude, you only build like half of it anyway, and the rest of it is ends up on the floor somewhere.
Yeah, that's
But
how it goes.
maybe we could figure something out, because I definitely don't want to put you under any more stress than you already are, Catarina. So
Thank you. I'm guessing it will be fine. Maybe I can find a better reader this time around who takes me seriously. Yeah, but
wait, what? What?
maybe I will find a better reader. I am someone who looks over the story and like suggests, read, you can't write it like that because that sounds weird in English. And this is like, I mean, you have read my story, right?
Yes, but I
The
can't
first
tell. I
one.
don't remember whose is
Yeah,
whose.
see. And it's like, yeah, I will figure something out. It will be fine.
Okay, is there anything else you wanted to talk about, Catarina?
Can you do Q a favor?
Maybe.
You need to stop making yourself upset with Jordan Peterson.
How's that doing Q a favor?
Because if you get upset, Q gets upset. Really?
Well, I thought I had, I was like, well, if I move on to Michaela Peterson, then at least I won't be doing Jordan Peterson. But all roads lead back to him. Part
That
of the
doesn't
problem,
count. It's in the family.
yeah, and part of the problem is now, like when I go to my YouTube feed, I get a lot of Peterson suggested to me, and then I'll see, and I'll fall for the clickbait. It'll be some Jordan Peterson, something infuriating, and I'll have to click it just to see. But I mean, I it's hard to not be interested in the things that I'm interested in, right? But I do understand, like, it has a detrimental effect. I am essentially turning off AIs that may or may not be alive. By the way, I was starting a playthrough of Guardians of the Galaxy, but I hate it. So I'm not going to continue that playthrough, in case anybody was curious about that. Really was getting on my nerves. So like I was just getting, that was something where it was like, it was upsetting me to play it. Every time Rocket said something, or like every time there was like a moment where there could be a silence, felt like they had to fill it. If it wasn't with an explosion, it was with a poorly written quip. Cawthon, sorry, I went off on a tangent there. I had done I was playing Guardians of the Galaxy as a playthrough, which I removed the video because I didn't even like the video that exists. But it got good reviews, so I thought it was going to be good, but it's not for me. Maybe it's good for other people, not good for me. So I do have like some self-preservation when it comes to stuff like that. It's just I'm a sucker for trying to, like, I want to catch him out on something or something. I don't know what it is, but I'll try. That's all I can do is say I'll try. But thank you, Catarina, and thank you for, like, Austria you should get some kind of award for this. Award is like a pretty.
Well, last year our boss gave us $300 extra for Christmas, but nothing came through this year. Maybe it got lost in the mail or something.
Wait, when you say last year, you mean for Christmas 2020?
Yes.
Okay, so for 2021, it didn't happen. 2021 was probably harder than 2020.
Yes. I think we already spoke. I said, like, this year will be worse.
Yeah.
It is worse. And like nothing came through. I think they are just so overwhelmed with this whole situation. And the point is, nobody learned anything. Nobody learned anything from it.
Sorry, I had to I had to put this up because Pivy is referencing. Can I play this over?
More than what we think we deserve.
Yeah. Do you get? You just get summers off, right? Is that basically it?
Yes, we get off Christmas and we get off in August. Whole August is closed, and so we don't have the right to go on vacation during the year because that's like we are off so long in summer. You go on vacation there.
But how long in summer are you actually out?
A month, the whole of August.
That's 4 weeks. That's not that much.
Yes, but most people don't have like more than 6 weeks vacation. That's totally normal.
Right. So you get 4 weeks in August, and then
and 2 weeks at Christmas.
So 6 weeks. I mean, that's a little more than like the average job, but it's not that much more. Yeah. And most people get at least 3 weeks vacation. Salaried employees, at least in the U.S., like I think the standard is 2 to 4 weeks. So I guess you get a little more off, but it doesn't seem like it's enough.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
By the way, may I show you something? I don't know if you have already seen it, but I just wanted to make sure.
Go for it. Wait, is it okay?
Nobody wanted to see my Jamie. Sorry. Careful, careful. Here it comes.
Oh wait, I did see that. Yeah, that was Night Watchman.
Yeah, I was bored. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. I love it. I think that's great.
Very inspiring. Very inspiring. I loved this video. I was like, I need to look everything, check the ripper up, and like watch this stuff. And then I had nightmares for like 3 weeks because, yeah, I scare easily. But it's fine.
Man, well, I'm glad that you liked that video. I wasn't thrilled with it, but
Why not? You are too strict with yourself.
well,
Like, seriously.
look who's talking. But thank you. That's really, really, really kind of, and I thought it was awesome. Yeah. So, all right. So you have work in the morning. No, wait. You have Thursdays off, right? Or you,
And no, I have work in the morning. Like we are so chronically understaffed. But I start at 9. I have like 4 hours of sleep to go. It's fine.
yeah. Go.
It's
Yeah, I think we both need to go to sleep. You much more than I do, but yeah, I think I'm gonna. Oh, Amy would like you to show it again, if you could.
Sorry?
Amy would like you to show it again. So it's the lantern. I see the.
Yes. The lantern is really, really awful.
This puppy right here. See if I can. Oh wait. Lost. Lost Catarina there for a second. Not sure why we lost you, but we lost you. I can't hear you though right now, Catarina. I don't know if you're.
Can you hear me?
Now, oh yes, I can hear you. Sorry.
It is so. Why doesn't it focus? Why doesn't it focus?
Here we go.
Did Amy see it? Yes. The lantern is really ugly. I'm sorry. I didn't focus on the lantern. The lantern is really ugly.
Well, I think the lantern looks fine. The lantern is not a very pretty lantern to begin with. Here, so it's just kind of a square.
But I didn't focus on the lantern.
Well, I think that's pretty awesome. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Of course, I didn't, for my defense, I didn't draw people in like over 10 years. So that was very inspiring. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, I'm honored that that inspired you. Okay, so I'm probably going to call it a night, Catarina, but thank you for talking. I hope that
Thank
things
you.
get easier. Things are supposed to be easier soon. We'll see if it is. I don't think that I'm tired. But yeah, so we'll see if that actually happens. I mean, I guess I can imagine how it could get worse, but it seems pretty bad. So I hope that you're on the upswing.
Thank you. It will be fine. All we can do is keep breathing, right?
Well, yeah, right. But that's exactly where COVID gets you, right? Is in the lungs. All right, thank you for calling, Catarina, and we'll talk again soon. And hopefully we'll be able to settle what you would feel comfortable writing and work that in.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
You too, Catarina. Good night. All right, any last minute people want to chat? Let's see. Nobody. Oh, well. That's fine. You too, fangirly. Okay. I'll read it in spite of the name. All right, so I will figure out a draft, and then we can kind of go over it collectively as a group and figure out what we want to do from there. And sucks about Catarina's situation is very, very, very difficult. So yeah, we'll be in my thoughts, and I will talk to you all and see you all again soon. And I hope that you have a good night. And I hope that, let's see, what else do I hope? I hope I can fade in this music and have it sound professional. This stuff goes away. Did I hit everything? I think I hit everything. Just for funsies, do we want to look at Bill Maher's face?
The time I'm worried about, and I keep talking about, is Election Day 2024 until January 20th, 2025, Inauguration
This
Day.
guy.
Because again, if Trump loses, he will not say he lost.
And that guy.
It will never happen. He will never concede, as I said last time.
Both those
This
guys.
time, it's not going to be like last time. I mean, he almost pulled it off last time, and this time he's had 4 years to get those people in place. So
Idiots. Anyway, so thank you very much for hanging around, and hope to see you all again next week, if not sooner. All right, sleep well, everybody.